We really love the entrepreneurs somewhere in everything we do. They're great. They're phenomenal people. Somebody who can create something from nothing, from ground zero, just constantly amazes me. They're tough. They got skin like rhinos. They have unwavering commitment and passion for their businesses, and I love helping them. At some point, though, every business has to transact. We help them come up with a strategic plan, how to exit right. So that's the way our business works. Hey, Pyramid Club, this is David Bernstein here. My company's RLS Associates. We do mergers and acquisitions work, investment banking, if you want to call it that. And I've been a member of the club probably about the shortest of anyone. I just joined in June.
Welcome in. It's nice to meet you as well. So this is a chance for us to meet. But yeah, I want to talk about RLS because when you're talking about these mergers and exits, first off, before we got on here, I mean, just passion exuding out of you about this kind of work. So give me a little bit of background about what you do there.
Sure, will do. Thanks. Yeah, we help business owners, and that could be anything from a public company that's selling a small part of its business to privately held companies, entrepreneurs. We really love the entrepreneurs somewhere in everything we do, whether we're representing a large buyer or an individual entrepreneur. There's an entrepreneur somewhere in the mix. I love them dearly. They're great. They're phenomenal people. Somebody who can create something from nothing, from ground zero, just constantly amazes me. They're tough. They got skin like rhinos. They have unwavering commitment and passion for their businesses, and I love helping them. At some point, though, every business has to transact or it explodes, and you have a choice. Either you plan for your future or the future will deal with your business in a way you don't get to choose when you die. So we help them come up with a strategic plan, how to exit right, how to optimize their exit. And for buyers, we help them grow by acquiring other companies. So that's the way our business works.
Yeah, so let's talk about it from that exit side. Entrepreneur, I built my business. I got my baby. This is my baby, right?
Sure is.
So from that side, I mean, how do you even begin that process of just how does that start?
Yeah, so there's a little bit of psychology involved in this, although I'm no psychologist per se, but a lot of it comes down to what the owner really wants and how they want to go out. We've had owners tell us, I want to go out with my boots on. The last day of work is the day I die, right? And I don't really think that's a smart idea, but we've had people say that. We've had owners who've said, I want to leave the second after closing. That's also very hard to do, and I'm not a big fan of that. But normally we work with them to figure out what their end state is, what that ideal end state is. And then we work back from there and say, okay, is the business ready to be sold now or not? A lot of them are not. There's a whole lot of things you can do to increase value of your company if you've got some headway, in terms of before you're ready to exit. But most of the time they wait until they're ready, they're almost burnt out or they are burnt out. They want to spend more time with grandkids. They want to hunt, fish, golf, whatever their thing is. And they come to us, and then we come up with a plan as to here's what we think is achievable. Here's what we think you're going to get, what the deal structure is going to be like, what the risk factors are, and what the buyers are probably going to say. And we give that information away before they hire us.
Mm-hmm.
And then assuming they want to hire us, we go forward and we have a whole process for packaging the company, taking it to market, disclosing information, soliciting buyers, getting offers, et cetera.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like from the intent then, you're trying to be as crystal clear as possible about this is what the vision is, this is how we will work with you for this. If you do not agree with us on this and working this way, this isn't going to work for us either. So you're very much giving an opinion and not just sometimes people try to be point and shoot and task takers, and you're very much like, no, this is the structure, these are things that need to be fixed, and this is how it's going to go.
Yeah, we try to be very transparent and upfront with them, and probably we don't get assignments because we're too honest with them as opposed to some other people in the industry. Our philosophy is this: almost every client comes to us by referral. So some friend, some trusted advisor has said, talk to those guys specifically. We have to respect that. So we want to lead with value. We want to give them advice and consulting and be very open with them about what's likely to happen. What we don't want to do is take an assignment and fail, or find out that things take a left turn that we didn't expect Most of the time, that's because we haven't been told something. The owner hasn't told us. But that being said, we want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Yeah. And so with that, then, I mean, you lay this whole roadmap out and you're analyzing the business, and you mentioned that you tend to tweak a lot of things before it actually goes up for sale. You're like,
If we have time.
if
And
you,
if they'll let us, yeah.
so what are some of the common things? Because obviously each business is different, like totally respect that. But what are some of the common things that you tend to work on or people tend to need tweaking with before they're ready?
Yeah, so here's a handful of them. There's a very long list, but the first thing is key person risk. Is the owner the business? Can the business function without the owner? We call it key person risk, keystone risk, like a keystone in an arch. If you take that out, the arch eventually crumbles. It's just a question of when. Same thing with a company. Next thing is customer concentration. So this is how much of your revenue is with each of your major customers. And the more concentrated you are, the more risk there is. Now, most people stop at revenue, but really the question isn't revenue. The question is gross profit. And almost no one ever talks about that, but we do. Because if you find out your biggest customer is only 5% of your gross profit, but they're 20% of your margin, you have a very different risk factor than if it's the other way around. They're 5% of revenue and 20% of gross profit. So risk is important. Customer concentration is important. Also, who else are the key people in the company and how likely are they to stay? If everybody who matters is a family member and they're all owners and they're all walking away with 7 figures purchase price, a buyer's going to be skeptical. They're going to show up the next day for their $150,000, $250,000 salary, right? Because they just got a huge windfall.
Yeah.
So these are important things to know. Also, are there any source of supply issues? So we all know what's happening with tariffs, which is none of us really know the answer. We just know what's said at the moment. There's no way to plan for those, right? So it's hard for a company that imports 70, 80% of its product to know what its margins are going to be. Now, what we found, fortunately, is that almost every one of our clients who's been subjected to a tariff on imported goods has been able to pass the extra cost along. So that's a great thing, and I was really concerned that wasn't going to happen, but thus far it seems to be happening. So you have to look at macro events as well as micro events. It could be anything from a storm in the Gulf that knocks out petro plants.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. I mean, what's it been like to have a career of just seeing like every shape and size of business? I mean, I feel like you've just like you've lived in the Matrix is what it feels like.
It's an amazing time. I really do love it. I love the variety of what we do instead of just being one industry, covering so many and knowing so much about so many. It never ceases to amaze me, the ingenuity of people, the companies they come up with. And then you look at it and go, of course there's a need for that. Why didn't I think of it, right? I'm not a startup entrepreneur. I'm not that kind of a person. However, I'm constantly amazed by their ingenuity and what they've developed. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that is a lot of the best ideas, right? It's like, why didn't I think?
Right.
It feels so obvious, and yeah, when you hit on that, you've really got something. So, all right, let's transition a little bit because I mean that's work brain, very busy, all this problem solving, and you have to deal with the art of handling people, right, and navigating that on that like personal level. But free time then. So, what are some of the things that you like to do in your free time, David?
Okay, so free time is really a judgment call because there's not really time I feel is free, but strangely enough, I enjoy doing spreadsheets. So I do financial analysis for some of my clients in my free time because I enjoy it.
Okay.
That being said, there's a lot of other things I like. I like movies. I like books. I read a lot of science fiction. I also like military history books. And I will read some autobiographical things like on Vince Lombardi or whomever. Like to play poker because it's sort of a natural thing for somebody who does what I do. Chess. Love to spend time with the family. And, every now and again, my wife and I get to see each other. So it's nice.
Okay, let's dig into sci-fi a little bit. I mean, I love sci-fi. I'm always watching sci-fi shows. I could probably stand to read a few more books. I read for information more often than not, so I'm always reading like different business books and autobiographies of successful people. Like, what can I learn from this? So that's how I tend to process it. But sci-fi book. I mean, what are some books you've enjoyed reading over the years in the sci-fi space?
Well, my favorite author ever is Robert A. Heinlein, who's a very fascinating guy. And his books, I've read everything he's written. So that's one. I read a lot of Larry Niven, but I've read all those as well. when you get to a certain age, you've read so many. Right now, I've really been focused on guys like Jim Butcher or James Butcher, who's his son. They have a great series of books. Right now, it's The Aeronaut's Windlass is one of Jim Butcher's books, and I think the next one in James's is Cold Iron or something like that. So they're just great books. I like to read them, but Jim Butcher's very well known for the Dresden File, Harry Dresden.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there was a TV show. Yeah, so I love that. And almost every science fiction author you can think of, I've probably read.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that through television and movies is the best way I can categorize authors. But like Philip K. Dick, pretty much everything he's done is
Yep.
just so interesting. There's all these great movies that he's been responsible for. I mean, like what a career. So if people are looking for that, I would recommend Philip K. Dick.
Yeah.
That would be it for me. And then just out of curiosity, you said something real quick that I need to follow up on. You mentioned that the kind of work that you do lends itself to poker. And
Yeah.
what do you mean by that?
So I'm a big believer in not lying, but that's not the same as not bluffing. So in poker, you have to know what the odds are, the probabilities are, and you also have to be able to read people. Well, in what I do, I have to know what the odds and probabilities are of a certain kind of path evolving or something happening, what issues might be raised, and I have to read the people involved. So it's very similar, and there are times when I have to bluff, although I've never admitted that before, but yes, there are. And at the end of the day, that's one thing. But I'm always very straightforward with people, and I truly have not told lies to people in what I do, and I don't think you need to. You just need to explain what you're doing, very straightforward about it, and negotiate hard, right? You don't have to lie, you don't have to hide, and you don't have to cheat, you don't have to steal.
Yeah.
So I've always believed in that, and I continue to do it, and I'm blessed because all my colleagues at RLS have been the same kind of people, and they're wonderful people to work with. So,
Well, and if people want to work with you and those wonderful people at RLS, what's the best way to get in touch?
well, we've got a website, rlsassociates.com. You certainly can email anyone you want to through there. You can call us at 302-992-0400. But I always prefer personal outreach. Odds are your lawyer, your accountant, your banker, your son's mother's kid's coach knows us. Someone knows us. And a personal introduction is always great.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you see David around the club, shake his hand. He's here.
By all means, yeah.
That's what it's all about. Well, David, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.